Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I'll have guests on that will be talking about the upcoming Teen Maze, and also I'll have a guest on talking about an upcoming fundraising event that we can all take part in. So ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for those interviews coming up in just a moment.
At LaGrange College, your journey toward achievement may take you in many different directions. The arts, law, ministry, medicine. Experience LaGrange College, one of the South's most affordable, highly ranked institutions, and leave transformed. Discover more at lagrange.edu/transform.
Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm sitting down with a young lady that will be talking about Teen Maze, an upcoming event here in our community. She is one of the co-organizers of it. Her name is Frida Hart. Frida, welcome to the show.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you, Frida. I just have to always kind of reminisce back a little bit from how our meetings come together. You were once with DFAX here as a business manager for a number of years, and you have since retired.
Yes. And
you were telling me you're a little bit more busier now than you were when you were working.
Oh, absolutely. I thought I'd have late mornings and coffee on the veranda kind of things, but like here, I'm here this morning. And I seem to be, as the old saying goes, as busy or if busier now in retirement than I was when I was working.
Absolutely.
But I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Well, as I was about to say, when the cream rises to the top, the good people always kind of get picked on to kind of help out with various things. And I think, and this year you're working, well, not only this year, but for the last 4 years, I understand that you have been working with Teen Maze.
Correct.
And you are the co-organizer of it. Talk a little bit about the history of Teen Maze for us, if you don't mind.
Well, Jane Gannon, who is a nurse with District 4 Health Services, was actually on, I think, a reunion or something. Anyway, she got introduced to this young lady and then her parents, and they were talking to her about Teen Maze. And the more she thought about it, the more she thought that might be something great for Troup County. So she came back and started garnering support with health services, the school system, DFAX, and many other organizations, and finally pulled off the first one in 2011. And like you said, this will be the fourth one. The students this year, 12th graders, are actually our first group that went through there, and we're hoping to get some feedback from them to see how that affected them, how, if anything, changed their course of action or their decisions. That's the mission primarily, is for us to make students and parents aware of what potential pitfalls are out there and the decisions that they make. And some could result in sickness, some could result in health issues, financial issues, and even ultimately death. So we just want to make them aware of what's really out there and the truth about it and the facts.
Absolutely. Now, and I know that this is your 4th year being involved, Frida. Talk a little bit about why you're actually involved. I know that you and Jane are friends, but what other reasons are you involved with Teen
Well,
Maze?
my first year was, of course, I worked with DFAX, and we were one of the agencies that were very involved in supporting it, as well as having a scenario out there. And the more I did it, the more I thought, I wish this had been around when my teenagers were 9th graders. And I was amazed at some of the stuff. And at the party scene, which is the first thing they go through, they're introduced to these recreational drugs that truly look like candy. And as parents, we'd like to believe our kids aren't involved in that, our kids aren't around that, but it's everywhere, and it's affecting everyone, no matter what your grade is, or your level, or your status, or what you do. It's affecting everyone.
Absolutely. I've gone through the Teen Maze myself and saw the video, and it really, brings it home to you about what these kids are faced with today.
Right.
Back in our days, maybe in cigarettes or something of that nature, but
or
now,
chewing gum.
Or chewing gum, that's right. Sticking it under the desk and things like that. But now the kids are faced with so many more, peer pressures and obstacles in their lives, and some of them succumb to that. And the Teen Maze, I think, is something that when I saw it, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like you. Why wasn't this around when I was coming up? Talk a little bit. I know that this year on the November the 4th. Talk about when will Teen Maze take place, if you don't mind.
It's actually November 3rd through 7th.
Okay.
November 3rd is our setup date, but
Okay.
on November 2nd, that Tuesday, we've invited the parents of the 9th graders. That's our focus group right now, is 9th graders, and we've invited the parents of 9th graders to come that evening and actually experience the maze themselves, so they see what they've given their permission for their children to go through. And I think it opens their eyes as well. And we've also opened it up if parents of 8th graders, who 9th graders next year will be asked to go through it. If they want to come, that's fine. But we send them through, and they come out, bright-eyed too, and like, oh my gosh, I didn't have a clue. And I'd like to tell one quick story that it touched a lot of us, and I think a bunch of us were tearing up and having to wipe our eyes. The first or second year we were doing this, we had parent night, and this lady came through, and she went through the maze. And when we got to, because we actually have a complete graduation scene where you have a cap and a gown and a diploma and your picture's taken, and she made the comment that she never graduated. And some of us heard it and said, well, would you like to do this? And she said, yes, because I never got to do that, because we play the music.
Right.
I mean, it's the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
And we dressed her up in a cap and a gown, and we walked her across that stage, and one of the principals are usually there to give out the diplomas, and took her picture. So, we were all kind of teary-eyed, like, oh, this is very emotional, but so she felt like she got to experience that graduation. And our kids, sometimes 9th graders think, oh, it's so far away before we graduate, but it's truly is around the corner.
That's right.
And we want them to live and be there for their graduation.
That's right.
And not face the hurdles actually face them, but understand what the hurdles are and be able to overcome them.
That's right, absolutely. So November the 4th is parent preview night.
Right.
And then the Teen Maze itself is on November the 3rd through the 7th.
Right. We, let's see, 3rd set up, 4th is parent preview. The kids are actually there on the 5th and the 6th all day.
Okay.
All the schools come. We include the private schools. We've asked them if they wanted to, and the Christian schools, and we have several others that do. Okay. LaGrange College, and this year Columbus College help provide nursing students for some of our medical thing, and then West Georgia Health System provides actual nurses for our ER, because we have a mock ER that's bloody and gory, and we have a funeral scene where a kid actually writes their eulogy, and it's read out loud, and they go look in an actual casket, and there's a mirror in there, so they see their face in that casket. And then of course we cover everything from if they were to be unfortunately contract a sexually transmitted disease and what could result from that, which includes death. We have a drunk driving scene where the police department bring out those drunk driving goggles. Okay. And we have golf carts, and you put on the goggles and you have to drive through those cones. And one afternoon, several of us said, we wanted to try that. I ran over every cone. I almost ran down the policeman that was telling us to stop. So obviously I don't make a very good drunk driver.
Okay.
But it was scary to me to know that that's the effect of what someone that's intoxicated actually sees. I mean, I can't imagine doing it. But we have a lot of scenarios that some of these kids just don't realize are out there and are just waiting for them. And as I mentioned earlier, when they come, get off the bus, they're real, oh, I'm cool, been there, done that. And then you see their faces start changing as they go through these activities and scenarios. And in the end, they're not so full of themselves anymore, and they realize that this could be a life or death situation.
And that's what it is. I mean, and you have to help them understand, as you talked about looking at their face in the mirror there, this easily could be them, if they make the wrong choices along the way. That's right.
And we have a jail too, where they're handcuffed and put in jail. Yeah. So that could be them too.
When I went through the maze myself, it was just so overwhelming, to see the various things, like I said, that the kids have to, juggle this, have to juggle their schooling, they have to juggle athletics, have to juggle, dating and all those other various things. And then when you talk about mixing drugs in with that or other things, that just kind of really compounds the issue altogether. Now, because I know that he was saying 8th and 9th graders, parents do have to give their kids permission to go through this team maze,
the
right?
school system has very strict guidelines, and there's permission slips that the 9th graders, because 9th graders are our focus group. We would like to one day eventually add other grades in there, but right now our resources and volunteers, it's a full week to do the 9th graders. But yes, they have to give their permission to come, and the parents are given slips letting them know about parent preview night and that they're welcome to come and experience to see what they're doing. Okay.
Volunteers, I heard you mention that, and there's always, I know volunteers make the backbone of any of the organizations that put on various things of this such. If someone was listening and they wanted to volunteer, is there an opportunity for them to volunteer free?
One of the things the school system requires is all adults that are working with this, volunteers, have to have a background check, because you are actually, dealing with the kids. So it's too late to get background checks on them. But if they're interested in it, and they could call the health department and ask for the Team Maze office, there might be something they could do on the outside of it where the students are not involved. Maybe that Monday, Tuesday, or even Friday when we're finishing up. So if someone's interested, we don't want to say, no, we can't take you now, because we probably can find something to do. It just won't be when the kids are actually there because of the background checks.
Absolutely, for setup or something to that effect.
Right. And they could go through the maze themselves even if they didn't have a 9th grader and they're just interested to see what it's like. They might have a 5th grader, because 9th grade doesn't mean that that's the grade these things are introduced. It could be much earlier.
Absolutely. Me being from law enforcement myself and having been in the school system, I've seen as early as 5th grade and earlier that some of the young kids, like you said, are introduced or either involved in one way or the other with certain things of this nature.
Very scary.
It absolutely is. So if you don't mind, Frida, give us those dates one more again. And we forgot to talk about where it's going to be held. So make sure you tell us where it's going to be held.
Right. It'll be at the West Georgia Technical College at the Callaway Center.
All right.
They've graciously, we've been able to get that every year, and it works perfectly because we've got the outside and the back to host the wreck and the drunk driving scene, and then inside we have the actual maze, and it is a maze. But it's at West Georgia Technical College, and it's November 3rd through 7th. 4th is the preview night, and then the children will be there all day on the 5th and the 6th.
Okay, well, very good. Always very good. Team Maze, the kids, I think, are the great recipients of it, because as you stated, they go in smiling, laughing, and they come out like, oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely. So Frida, thank you very much for being on the show today to talk about Team Maze. And we ask the public to come out, support it, make sure that your kids get signed up to go through it, because every year I think the more we can talk about it, the more they're involved with it. And provide facts. Right. So thank you so much, Frida.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm sitting down with Josh O'Neill, who is the Cell Marketing Coordinator for West Georgia Health. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you again. I think last time you and I had an opportunity to sit down, you had your sidekick, Tammy, with you as well, right? Where's Tammy today, Josh? I got to ask the question.
Working her tail off right now. She has the 2 fundraisers going on right now that West Georgia Hospice is putting on. And so we're drawing near the end of one of our fundraisers and then getting ready for our next one. So she's
pretty busy.
She's very busy right now.
Okay.
Yes,
well, she sent a great person over to talk about some things today that's coming up in our community. But before we get started talking about that, Josh, tell us a little bit about your role, if you don't mind.
Okay. I'm the account executive for West Georgia Home Care, West Georgia Hospice, Florence Hand, and Twin Fountains. And so my role is a sales and marketing role. I go out into the community, physician offices, hospitals, and try to build business for home health, hospice, and nursing homes. There are a ton of competitors out there, and so my role is going to, staying in LaGrange, going to Coweta County, going to Harris County, and just a sales role, speaking with physicians, hospitals, case management, people like that.
Okay, very good. Sounds like an interesting job.
Sometimes.
So we can get those sales, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Well, I know that you're here today. You're going to be talking about some things. When we talk about West Georgia Hospice, and I've had the occasion to sit down with Kathy before she retired.
Okay.
I got to get our new director on to sit down with him. And I know when a lot of people think about West Georgia Hospice, they kind of think about the end of life and things of that nature, but I've visited the facility on another time, but it doesn't necessarily mean, because I've seen some people actually come out, and you all also provide home hospice. Talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind, for us.
Okay, yes. So West Georgia, a lot of people think of West Georgia Hospice as just Hospice LaGrange, which is our inpatient facility. And what they don't realize is that we have a home hospice program. We cover 5 counties, Troup, Harris, Heard, Meriwether, and Coweta County.
Okay.
And so it's a service that Medicare covers 100%. Of course, Kathy started back when she started back in 1982. There was no reimbursement for it per Medicare, and so Medicare saw the benefits that it was giving these families and patients, and so they started a reimbursement for it. So 100% covered, and what you have is a nurse that's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay.
So if there's an emergency in the middle of the night, and the family's really having some issues, things like that, they're available to go and see that patient or speak with that patient. And then you also have a social worker that can work on things like power of attorney, advanced directives, things that you don't want to think about.
Right.
But once it's that kind of time for you, then it's something that you want to already have.
That's right. It's a reality, isn't it?
Right.
Oh,
sorry.
No, I was saying I recently lost my friend, and you're talking about the nurse coming to the home, because I know when I was there with him, because he did home hospice, and the nurse came in, and was kind of telling him, and it's kind of comforting to know, because sometimes you think the person has a little bit long, and the nurse kind of comes in to tell you, well, it's not necessarily as long as you might think.
Right.
It's sort of comforting to hear the assurance that they give you as far as the time that you have left to spend with them.
And someone having that experience in that field to kind of walk you through it, guide you through it. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is that we have an inpatient facility, and not a lot of hospices within a 40-mile radius. Zero hospices in our 40-mile radius can say that they have an inpatient facility. And so what we offer at West Georgia Hospice is, if you're having symptom management issues that are uncontrollable in the home, Dr. Ginther's our medical director. He will take care of the patient at Hospice LaGrange. And so if it's pain meds that need to be kind of titrated and figured out, then we can take care of that in Hospice LaGrange, and Medicare will pay for that. And then also, families can use 5 days respite care with Medicare. They can use 5 days respite care every certification period. And so if they have a vacation, that they want to take, then they can do that, and they can rest assured that we're taking care of them at West Georgia Hospice.
And that's a big relief from a family that's going through things of that nature at that point in time. Because again, I just kind of witnessed it firsthand with my friend that I lost recently, and the nurse came in and things of that nature. So you guys do a wonderful job, and I just want to thank you and all the ones there at West Georgia Hospice. But let's talk on a lighter note. We want to talk about raising some money for them now. How about that? I know that you all have various fundraisers going on. Talk about the major fundraisers that they have, Josh.
So we have 3 every year.
Okay.
Tabby Forbes is our volunteer coordinator, and she's the one that she's the brainchild behind this, and the boots on the ground.
And the boots, okay.
So we have our Eli Callaway Golf Tournament. We have our that's hosted at the Country Club every year. We have our poinsettia sale, and then we have West Georgia Christmas tour of homes.
Okay.
I always say tour of homes. I get in trouble for not putting Christmas
That's right.
tour of homes in
There
there,
you go.
because all the homes are decorated with Christmas decorations,
Okay.
which makes it extra special.
Well, very good. Talk a little bit about the poinsettia sale, because I know that that's, you know, one of the big fundraisers, because I know that we participate in that when I say we, the City of LaGrange.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that for us.
So what we do is we have what we call Tammy's Army of volunteers. It's up to 100, maybe over that now. And so what they do is they're selling these poinsettias to anyone who wants to buy them, and that's what I want to press to everyone is buy your poinsettia now.
That's right.
The deadline for it is November 1st. And what we do is on December 1st through the 4th, we'll deliver it wherever you want us to go within our area.
Okay.
These are volunteers doing this, so
Right.
they don't get paid gas mileage.
Right.
But they're available to deliver it within our region.
Okay.
And the poinsettias are $12.
Okay.
And like I said before, all the money that we raise goes towards our hospice foundation.
Okay.
Which helps cover costs for patients that are on West Georgia Hospice when they can't afford medications or equipment, or like I was talking about with the respite care. If they go, so Medicare pays 5 days, but if they go into day 6, they can't cover those costs for day 6. Then that room and board that a patient would typically have to pay, if they can't afford it, our hospice foundation helps cover those costs for that stay.
Well, and you're talking about covering those costs, because just to give that family the extra day of relief sometimes can mean a world of good to that family. So that's the poinsettia sale. By all means, get out and sell, buy, buy. And the deadline to purchase one is November 1st, correct?
Yes,
all
sir.
Right, very good. And the other fundraiser that you all have is the Christmas tour of homes. Talk about that for us, Josh.
So this year it's going to be December 7th.
Okay.
It is from 2 to 6 p.m. And like I said, it's Christmas tour of homes, and there's 4 homes that we have this year. There's Lee and Michelle Bedingfield on Broad Street, Paige Estes on Gordon Street, Michael and Sarah Holly on Ridgecrest Road, and Chase and Beth Hudson on Ridgecrest Road. All of their homes are decorated, with a Christmas cheer to it. And what it is on December 7th, everyone meets at Hills and Dales. And so they're serving refreshments. They have live entertainment. They have the Faithful Hearts from First Baptist, Libby Rigby and Criswell girls. And then the Young Symphony musicians are going to be playing violin at Hills and Dales. And so a shuttle van is going to take them to each home.
Oh. And
so it's great for an organization that wants to buy tickets together. Tickets are $25.
Okay.
And so it's great. My wife does it with her girlfriends every year. They load up in the van and really have a good time with it.
Well, very good. And it's just that one day from 2 until 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
December the 7th from 2 o'clock to 6. So can you purchase tickets in advance, and who can you get them from, Josh?
Okay, so our downtown businesses, there's going to be a few of those. We haven't lined those up exactly now.
Okay.
But also West Georgia Hospice.
All right.
You can definitely purchase them there. Contact Tammy Forbes if you want to purchase that.
Okay.
Or you can just come the day of.
Okay, so you don't necessarily have to buy it in advance.
Right,
Okay,
exactly.
right, so just come.
But it's a great gift for someone for Christmas. A nice early gift. If you're like me, me and my wife, we give each other our presents of November 30th. A lot of times.
Okay, get it out of the way. Huh?
It's just hard to not, want to surprise them with it. So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, November 30th. Huh? Coming
right.
up pretty quickly, right, Josh? Okay.
I need to get out there.
Well, Mary Mark is coming up now, so if you hadn't gone, you might need to get
sir.
out to it. All right.
Definitely.
So it's $25. Meet over at Hills and Dales, and then you have shuttle buses to take people around to those 4 homes that you mentioned there, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And again, you talked about the funds that are raised from this go to help with West Georgia Hospice there.
Yes.
Very worthwhile cause. I can remember some years ago, I think there was a fundraiser that the gazebo was built with, correct? In the
yes.
Yeah. It's been about 4 years ago now, if I recall correctly.
I would say so. Maybe 3 or 4 years. Yeah,
okay.
that's right. It was.
It's been a moment.
Yes, yes.
It's been a moment. Okay. All right. Well, Johnson, if you don't mind, again, just kind of tell us the date of the tour of homes and where they can meet up as we close up.
Okay. So Hills and Dales. If you're from LaGrange and don't know where Hills and Dales is, then just check the yellow pages.
Ask somebody, right?
I'm not sure of the address.
Okay.
I know it's on Vernon.
Okay.
But it's December 7th, and it is from 2 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
Tickets are $25, and all the money raised goes towards West Georgia Hospice Foundation, which helps families and patients that are on West Georgia Hospice, cover costs that they wouldn't before.
Okay. Well, Josh, it's always a pleasure to sit down with you. Great information, and know that the community, as always, will come out and support this worthwhile cause. And thank you for being on the show today to talk about it.
Thank you for having it. And before we go, can I give you this? This is from West Georgia Hospice. It's a Christmas ornament, along with a certificate for our free poinsettia.
Oh my!
So anyone that you want to give that as a gift to.
Thank you very much, Josh. I appreciate this greatly.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back for more City Week in just a moment.
Troup County Schools. A place where you can learn and grow.
A place where teachers care.
A place where family and school come together.
A place where learning matters.
A place preparing students for a bright future.
Whether going to college
or into the workforce.
Troup County Schools, preparing students for success today.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining for City Week this week. My guests have been with Team Maze. I had on Frida Hart, co-organizer, as she talked about it, and it's coming up on November the 3rd through the 7th. Parent preview day will be held on November the 4th. So by all means, parents, come out and see what your teens may be faced with as they go through various situations and have to make life choices. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I had on from West Georgia Hospice and West Georgia Health, Josh O'Neill, who talked about the upcoming tour of homes, Christmas tour of homes that will be taking place on December the 7th. For those of you that would like to get more information, you may give him a call or just go by Hills and Dales on December the 7th. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed those interviews, and as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.
Hi, this is Bobby McClellan with the City of LaGrange Garage, here to talk to you about a few winter car care tips for your vehicle. I'd like to talk to you today about tire pressure. Tire pressure is very important. It helps you actually get traction with the road as you drive. As the weather gets colder, your tire pressure will decrease, so you need to check it on a regular basis. And to check your tire pressure, all you have to do is get a simple tester like this from any general parts store. They're not very expensive and very simple to use. And to find your specifications for your vehicle, you look inside your driver's door of your vehicle. There's an identification tag here, and it will tell you what the tire pressure should be. You also need to take a look at your tire tread, because your tread is what actually grips the road and gives you the traction you need so you don't slide or spin or have a problem or an accident. This right here is a good example of a bad tire. As you see, it's wore down and into the fabric already, and there's very little tread on the tire. A good way you can check your tires is to look for the wear indicator bars, like here and here. Once your vehicle tire gets down to those bars, it is time for you to replace your tire. This is a very simple car care tip from the City of LaGrange. These are just general care tips for your vehicle. Please refer to your owner's manual for any vehicle specifications.